Hello again. This is Raija, Pini, Kemppainen. We have earlier discussed cultural dimensions used in the inner circle of the GEA circles of impact. And you have reflected on them. Now, let's talk about the outer circle, my nation and my world community. The cultural lens we will use here does not apply to my natural world, the natural world you will work on in other settings. We will introduce to you a model called cultural intelligence for our reflection on the nation and world community. This model, cultural intelligence, is typically used in the global setting, but it functions 100% in a multicultural environment at national level as well. The model is a fantastic tool to explore and examine antecedents of behavior in multicultural or global environments. This model, unlike cultural dimensions typically are, is not about how cultures look like, but it's the model to help us develop skills and competencies in cross-cultural interactions. I believe that it's a tool for becoming a better educated global citizen. This model is developed by Aung Suu in Singapore and her colleagues. It introduces 4 elements in the cultural intelligence: cognitive, metacognitive, motivational, and behavioral. Actually, let me read a quote by Aung Suu and her colleagues from one published article. CQ, by the way, CQ is like IQ or EQ. So cultural intelligence is in essence the ability to function effectively in a diverse context where assumptions, values, and traditions of one's upbringing are not uniformly shared with those with whom one needs to act. In other words, one might need to leave behind the intelligent behavior learned in one setting. To me, this is a very fascinating quote and important skill in the world. So, a brief description of these 4 elements. Cognitive, as the word suggests, is about cultural, cross-cultural knowledge, understanding of systems, values, and norms. We, of course, attain knowledge by studying, but also by listening, observing, asking. Let me give an example of observational knowledge that I gained. Years ago, when I was working on my doctoral dissertation in the US, I traveled to Estonia, where I had lived before, to do my data collection. And in the US, when you pass by somebody close by, you typically, to be polite, say, "Excuse me." So I applied the same pattern in Estonia in a crowded store, and I noticed that it had the opposite impact. There I was intruding somebody's privacy by addressing them when not perceived to be necessary. Metacognitive is awareness of strategies, so in other words, ability to think constantly of the environment and choose the ways that function the best in that setting. Actually, metacognitive, as you think, works very much simultaneously with the behavioral. We think, we act, we think and act. Let me give an example again. One moment really brought to my attention the difference and the awareness of it, and to keep it on mind and strategize on it. I was walking to a meeting when a colleague stopped me in a hall and wanted to have a talk. So I had to be thinking whether to give attention to a relationship or whether to focus on the task, being timely to the meeting. And this is something I constantly had to work on, particularly as a department head, to be metacognitively being attentive and thinking of paying attention to relationships. Motivational. It is the drive, the energy, either intrinsic or extrinsic, and willingness to adapt when needed. It's not always needed. In my research among very accomplished international managers and leaders, I noticed that one of the major motivation and attraction to work in international setting was the ability to interact with people from all over the world. I believe these managers had intrinsic cultural motivation. Behavioral means, of course, the action, ability to adapt according to the needs of the situation. Again, an example, when I worked in Saudi again, I was interacting with much of the university face-to-face, but also through email. And I noticed soon that I had to adapt my behavior, not only verbally, but also in writing, to a higher level of politeness. In the Nordics, where I grew up, it's okay to be very direct, but there I noticed I had to use much more polite words to introduce the topic and to address the person. Well, a few about self-evaluation as it comes to the cultural intelligence and the competencies. You will evaluate yourselves or be reflecting on yourself at the levels of nation and my world community on each of these 4 levels: metacognitive, cognitive, motivation and behavior. And you will be reflecting how you can better engage with my nation or how you can better engage with my world community on all of these 4 elements. We believe that when working on these questions, it will open new understandings for you and your relationship with your environment, national and globally. And again, enjoy the new awareness, the reflections and the outcomes of the reflections.